Dude, like, I wish I could pull stuff off like this, like on a regular basis. This dude's like a monkey swinging from tree to tree, and he gets away with it every time. As many of you esports fans may know already, Asuna is 100 Thieves' main duelist, and he's arguably the best player in the game, if you couldn't tell from those clips I showed you. His insane mechanical abilities have bailed out 100 Thieves like a ton of times, and the way he plays the game is just like watching a ballerina or something. It's just so much fun to watch. He just moves so smoothly, his shots just land, and it's just a thing of beauty to watch this man play. If you watched our previous video, we went over Hiko, Asuna's teammate, and some of the aiming techniques that he pulls off at the highest level, and if you haven't seen that video, I highly suggest you give it a watch. So, something that people don't realize, that aim isn't really the only thing when it comes to mechanical skill, but the way your character moves is just as important, if not even more important. You could literally win or lose rounds literally based on the way you press A and D, and that's what we're going over today, Asuna and some of his movement techniques. First, I think it'd be a good idea to start with arguably the most important part of the game, and that's pistol round. And you know how people tell you that you really shouldn't move and shoot? Well, that's not entirely true. It is for the most part, but on pistol rounds, you usually want to make yourself as hard to hit as you possibly can. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's just watch. Now, it might not seem evident at first glance, but notice how in every duel he's taking with a pistol, there's the slightest movement while Asuna is dueling. When fighting with pistols, you can't really spray like with a Vandal or a Phantom, so people are rewarded for hitting head taps. So, if you want to reduce the chance that people have it head tapping you, you should try and make your head as hard to hit as possible. Especially on this kill on the Viper, notice how Asuna is making these micro movements. To us, it might not seem like that big of a deal, but when you're trying to click on somebody's head, it's pretty annoying, like the dude won't stop moving. Here, I'm going to take you to the range. Look, at even up to 20 meters, the classic isn't that inaccurate. Obviously, the right click won't work, but look at the ghost. I'm moving and it shoots pretty straight. The sheriff too, like this is dumb. Being able to move this much while shooting feels like it should be illegal or something. So if you do this, throw a couple crouches in there, and you're pretty much in like Asuna. Obviously, this takes a bit of practice, and it's something you won't get used to right away. So if you want to get better at pistol rounds, I recommend getting these micro movements down, and I promise you'll be a lot harder to hit on these important rounds. Okay, so I know I just told you guys that you should probably only move a little bit, like when using pistols, but there's always ways you can mix up your movement to make yourself even more unpredictable. And that's with counter strafing. And I'm sure most of you know what that is already, but it's still important to show you in game how valuable it can be, especially on saves. Notice how with the Sheriff, Asuna isn't standing in one place. He's constantly strafing back and forth, making him a headache to hit for the enemies. If the enemy misses their first shot, they have to regain themselves and line up another. This is pretty hard to do if you're getting aim punched by a Sheriff, and then in the back of your head you're thinking how you're about to die to a Sheriff, and then you panic, and then you pee your pants, and then you start crying, and it's just not a fun time. Okay, maybe that's just me. Okay, okay, that's awkward, but seriously, Asuna doesn't win that eco round on Breeze, and doesn't get that important kill on Icebox if he doesn't counter strafe correctly. He's a master at this, and you can see him do it all the time, and not just on pistols. Counter strafing is important with rifles as well. If you're entering on A site, holding A or D while moving into the site, and counter strafing is the most optimal way to kill somebody. If you know exactly where the enemy's at, consider counter strafing so that you're near impossible to hit. It's a lot harder to hit somebody that's moving sideways than somebody who's W-king at you. It's also pretty useful if you know the enemy's on the bomb, sitting in a corner, or like when you're trying to clear angles, like when you're lurking, or you're trying to make a play for your team when you're down a man. Alright, so very briefly, if you don't know how to counter strafe, you can do it by moving in one direction using A or D, and then using the opposite key to cancel out your momentum, making your next shot 100% accurate, like you're not moving. If you want to get better at this, then hop in the range and practice on some bots, or practice with this little wooden thing in the wall like I do, or in a custom game, just go angle to angle and just practice using A and D. And then once you're comfortable there, take those skills into your rank games or death matches. So, I know it said it doesn't hurt to move while you're shooting sometimes, and that you should mix up your movements. Maybe move a little bit, counter strafe, throw a crouch in there maybe, but there are times where moving will throw your rounds. Or, do you ever feel like that when you shoot somebody that your bullets are just going all over the place, but not where you're aiming? Well, I'll be the first to tell you that you're probably not at a complete standstill before you're shooting. This used to happen and still happens to me on a regular basis. I'll see a guy, flick to his head and start shooting, and the first two bullets, or one bullet, whatever, just flies to the left. Well, if you slow down these clips, you'll see that you most likely haven't stopped moving completely yet. And if you aren't at a complete standstill, then you're not going to shoot straight. So let's take a look at how Asuna entries. He plants his feet and makes some nasty shots. You might not see it as well in the first kill, but looking at the last two, Asuna makes sure he's at a complete standstill before letting his shots rip. It's so, just so crispy. And a lot of clips that I see from lower ranks is that they'll get too antsy and start shooting as soon as they see somebody. So then the enemy probably has the advantage because they're holding the angle. And while you're trying to stand still, the enemy has those few extra microseconds to line up that headshot. Something I mentioned in some of our previous videos is the concept of see, stop, and shoot. And if this movement technique is something you're having trouble with, I suggest you go into a DM and just tell yourself the 3 S's. See, stop, and shoot. Literally, tell yourself. You're Your parents are probably going to think you're crazy, or whoever's living with you, but by doing this slowly at first, you'll start building up good habits that'll eventually translate into your rank games. Let's take a look at one more example from asuna that kind of leads into our next topic. Even while being exposed from the rest of sight, something that's super risky, asuna still keeps his composure, makes sure he's not moving, hits it, and then worries about getting out. See, stop, and then shoot. Okay, so lastly, it wouldn't be an asuna video if we didn't talk about this man's playground, and that's the ropes on Icebox. I don't know why, but for some reason, asuna just does things that people have never seen before on these ropes. He's literally like a monkey, and the ropes are his trees. Like just a while back, look at this crazy tech that he came up with. Not to mention, not too long ago, this man dropped 48 kills in a pro match against version 1. But like, dude, like if I'm dropping 48 kills in an unrated match, I'm screenshotting it, hanging it up on the fridge, hoping to make my parents proud of me for once. But to drop basically 50 kills against other pros, that's literally unheard of. Check out some of the highlights from that game. Somebody please tell me, how is he so accurate while suspending in midair? Like, someone explain this to me. And how do you counter it? You just hold your crosshair out in midair hoping that he's just there? I could show you like 20 more clips like this, but I really don't want to turn this into a montage. The point I'm trying to get across is that the ropes on Icebox are severely underused, and asuna does a great job of using them, obviously. Not only do these clips show off how you should be using the ziplines, but it's to also help you understand how each map has their own gimmicks and tricks to them. And the more you can start abusing them, the more you can win your games faster. For example, Bind has its teleporters, on Split you should split the defenders through mid, so on and so forth. And on Icebox, these ropes act as another point of entry. Let's say for example that you're holding from Generator. You're not going to be able to hold somebody swinging you from like a normal angle and somebody going across the ropes. The ziplines on Icebox are just a great way of making space for your team. So if your jet like doesn't want to go in or something, do it yourself. Hop on that zipline, go for a ride, and like from the looks of it, you'll probably get a headshot too. So if you take anything from this video, have it be that the ropes on Icebox are stupid, they're fun to use, and they're pretty effective. So yeah, asuna is one of the best in the game, and honestly, you can learn a lot from watching pro players. I highly recommend you do it too in your free time. You can learn setups, lineups, how to calm, literally anything you want. Plus, there's a ton of small pro streamers out there, and they give the time to answer whatever you ask them, within reason of course, in chat. So go ahead and give some of them a watch. They offer so much to learn from. And that's all for us. I'm Teets, and we here at Skullcap want to thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.